Hi, I'm Superintendent Kevin Miller. With me is our Treasurer, Todd Griffith. Hi, Todd.
Hey.
Today we're going to talk about some pieces of legislation that are currently at the State House that would directly impact public schools and the communities we serve. So 2 pieces of legislation we're focusing on today have passed the House and they're now in the Senate, and that's House Bill 335 and House Bill 186.
Yep. House Bill 335 deals with inside mills. Inside mills are unvoted mills that were originally established in the Ohio Constitution. It's 10 mills per each property in Ohio, and it's a small portion of our local property taxes. The 10 mills is split between schools, and it's just under half of the inside mills come to schools across the state, and the other half go to other local governments.
Like
What?
townships,
Townships, cities. It could even be a career technical center.
counties.
Okay. So that's where all the other half of inside mills go. Under House Bill 335, the values are now going to be capped as it relates to growth. So it's a small portion of your overall property taxes, but it's a very important piece to school district and governmental revenue. So what this does is it's going to cap the school district's revenue year over year.
So when a property owner's property or home goes up in value, so does their tax bill because of the inside millage rate, which is really determined by the Constitution, or which was established by the Constitution. Yes. Okay. So what 335 does is kind of put guardrails around that by saying that growth can never be more than the gross domestic product of the United States.
Correct.
And so we can support that because, again, we know that there has to be some changes in property taxes in Ohio, but it does come with a cost. So for Licking Heights schools, that would mean a loss of about $280,000 annually.
Yes.
So over the span of a 5-year forecast, that's kind of how we look at things. That's a loss of over $1 million.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. So that's House Bill 335. House Bill 186 is the other one we wanted to talk about, and it basically does the same things, but it's not focused on inside millage. It's focused on the revenue that a district like Licking Heights would realize because we're on the 20 mil floor. And remember that we talked about the 20 mil floor last week. When property values go up, your effective tax rates go down. And when those tax rates drop below 20 mils, as it has in Licking Heights situation, property owners' taxes are increased to ensure that the school district collects at least 20 mils in revenue. Am I on track so far? House Bill 186 would also limit the increases in taxes due to the 20 mil floor to the gross domestic product over the previous 3 years. So again, a way of putting guardrails around that growth of taxes for our property owners.
Yes.
Okay. So House Bill 186 was first introduced in March, and this past spring we felt like we could support it because, again, it was providing guardrails for tax increases when we saw those increases in property taxes in our school district. However, the House just recently inserted a retroactive piece into House Bill 186, and that's important to understand. The House version of the bill takes property values back to 2023 levels and starts from there, and that's problematic.
Yeah, and what that means for us here at Licking Heights is that we're being asked to do business over the next 3 years using the same property tax values that were set in 2023.
Yeah.
So we're really rolling back the clock here. Even though property values have gone up since last reevaluation, our funding won't reflect that increase. Imagine, for example, if you sign like a 5-year employment contract in 2024, guaranteeing 3% raises each year for those next 5 years. You buy a house or you rent a condo, something, and you plan your finances around this income. Then your employer comes to you and says, hey, we're reverting your pay back to 2023 levels before your current contract, and we're going to stay at that. You'd be stuck with commitments based on the money that you thought you had coming in. And that's exactly what's happening. the state's retroactively charging or changing the school's values. It wipes out revenue the district already planned for and we made decisions on.
Yeah. So while taxpayers might see some short-term relief from House Bill 186, it also means less revenue for our school districts, your school district, which makes it harder to keep up with inflation and the rising costs of serving students and just doing business every day, right?
Yep.
So in its original form, 186 was something that we could support, although we were going to see a loss of about $3.6 million in revenue. But when the legislature put that retroactive piece in, the Legislative Service Commission estimates that Licking Heights will see a loss of almost $11 million over the next 3 years.
And originally, like not originally, but when they put this new retroactive piece in, there was even a more significant expense to us or loss to us, but they did end up putting a hold harmless clause in that will protect us from about a $3 million loss that we would have otherwise seen in tax year 2025. So we do appreciate the fact that tax year 2025, we will be more protected.
So legislators are using state money to kind of close that gap for tax year 2025, but that goes away in tax year 26 and 27, and that's when we'll see that loss of almost $11 million. Obviously, that loss then continues on in future years. We can't sustain that kind of loss in revenue without severely impacting our programs, services, and the students we serve.
Yeah, on the surface, House Bill 186 sounds like a reasonable change to property tax with guardrails provided by the growth of Ohio's economy, the GDP, right? But underneath, it's a bill that could pull millions of dollars away from Ohio's public schools. Money that pays for teachers, buses, books, everything we use on a day-to-day basis in our classrooms.
So House Bill 186 is really tax relief, temporary tax relief, but it is not true tax reform. Ultimately, who has to make up the gap created by the implementation of House Bill 186? Our local taxpayers do. So when schools lose funding, everyone feels it. The fewer teachers, larger class sizes, cuts to arts, athletics, mental health support, safety programs, technology, fewer electives for our students. You cannot not be impacted by a loss of $11 million in a school district our size.
That's right. In many communities, schools are the largest employer. So fewer jobs means less local spending and lower property values. In House Bill 186, it sounds like tax relief. It does. But it's really a funding cut for your kids and your students. And it's a short-term savings. It really creates a lot of harm in the long term.
Yeah, I think you used important words. You said tax relief. This is tax relief, but not tax reform. And that's what we're needing in Ohio. So our job is to protect what keeps our community strong, our school districts strong, our educators, the students who depend on them. So remember that House Bill 186 has passed out of the House. We did reach out to Representative Claggett and ask him to vote against it, but he supported it. And so now it's in the Senate. So please join us by calling or emailing Senator Tim Schaefer's office. There at the bottom of the screen is his phone number and his email. Thank him for the steps that they're taking to provide property tax relief for our homeowners, but ask him to remove the retroactive piece of House Bill 186. Help him to understand that you stand for Licking Heights schools, you support what we're doing and the great strides that we're making, but House Bill 186 goes too far. Folks, it would cause catastrophic damage to our students, our staff, and our community. And once you've done that, think about sending an email to us, letting us know that you reached out to Senator Schaefer. It helps us when we talk to him know that people in the community have been reaching out to him in droves. It just takes a few minutes to make that phone call or to send that email. So our emails are at the bottom of the screen there. Kevin Miller, Superintendent, Todd Griffith, our Treasurer, or Anna Davies, our Communications Specialist. Just say, made a phone call to Senator Schaefer in support of Licking Heights schools. Thank you so much. We appreciate you and we appreciate your time.